And let's get started with the interview. The whole point of the talk show is to show people that even with a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there dealing with any types of disabilities or learning disabilities. That you should never give up or have people label you, and you should prove to them you can still amount to something no matter what. And let's get started. You can say anything you want, curse if you want to. You have a half hour, 45 minutes, and starting off, what can you tell us about yourself?
Well, the first thing that I want to tell you is that actually, in the business, I'm known as Sheilah Rae. Gross is my married name. Actually, all of my names are Sheilah Rae Bernstein Gross, but everyone in the industry knows me for the last 50, 60 years since I've been working as Sheilah Rae.
Oh, you want to do that over?
No, not at all.
All right, it's completely up to you.
Not at all. I'm all of those things. I'm Sheilah Gross and I'm Sheilah Rae. And I've been Sheilah Gross for 45 years too, so that's a pretty long-standing marriage.
No, congrats.
Thanks.
So, starting off, what can you tell us about yourself?
What can I tell you about myself? Well, I am primarily known, I think, as a songwriter these days, although I was a Broadway performer for many years. I worked, I started actually my career in Chicago, which is where I grew up, and then I moved to New York after college, although I trained part of that time in Europe, in London. And then when I came to New York, I joined the Broadway company Fiddler on the Roof in 1967 and worked in Applause and Selling the President and Company and the Rothschilds and a lot of Broadway shows, but somewhere in there also became a recording artist. And in those years, recording artists, girl singers, were getting signed who wrote. If you wrote songs, then you could be signed as a recording artist. And so I got a deal with a subsidiary label of RCA and began writing songs. And I've been writing songs ever since. And that was about 1970, so that's a long time.
No, absolutely, and I just want to apologize for the background noises. Every time I do an interview, someone seems to always screw it up for me. You know, someone's banging at the door, someone's yelling for me to go downstairs. I still live at home. So right now, the pounding is we had gutter cleaner guy here. So he's out there cleaning the gutters. So if you hear any background noises, there's always something, and there's always something for someone to try to screw me up. It never stops.
I know exactly the feeling. Done many radio interviews here with my dog howling away.
What type of dog do you have?
An Australian Shepherd. Would you like to see him? He's sitting right here. Sure. Here he is. Roo, say hello.
It's a cute dog.
Yeah, he's a great dog. There he is. I don't know. He heard your voice, and so he came flying in here, see what was going on. And actually, I'm talking to you from my study. I can see you've got a bunch of pictures in the back of you, too, and my study has a lot of pictures from various productions I've been in. And
well, if you can give us a tour, I would love that.
All right, let me see if I can stand up here. Well, of course, as a writer, I have a lot of books. So there's my books. I have theater books. I have a big collection of books about other writers as well. And then, of course, scripts. There's my scripts. I don't know if you can see them, all bound in various things there, various plays and musicals that I've worked on. And then here's my piano. And that's where the bad magic happens. And then here, let's see.
I do have one request.
Sure.
Is there a way you can turn the screen sideways so we can get the full screen?
Oh, yeah, sure. Let me see if it'll work.
I do. Perfect.
Is that good?
Yep, I should have said that from the beginning, but it's fine.
All right, so there's the piano.
That was nice.
Yeah, and then over here, Rue, you're going to have to move. I have some old Gregorian chant music that I picked up in Paris maybe 40 years ago. And then lots and lots of photographs and work pictures. That picture in the red frame is the original cast of Applause. I don't know if you can see it or not.
No, it's really nice.
Closer. We were all wearing the Joe Allen tablecloths, which was a scene in the show, and Ken Duncan took that picture. It was actually our opening night gift from the company to Ronnie Field, and then we all wore the tablecloths. So, and then over here are just some black and white photographs. I don't know if you can see them. Let me get over here. From various shows that I've been in. There's the boyfriend, and let me see if I can get over here a little more. Oh, what is that? That looks like Anything Goes. This is a wonderful picture of Flower Drum Song, but I don't know if I can get it. I don't think I can reach it. Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Struggling here. What a video tour. Oh my God. And then let me just show you this one poster. Let me put the light on here. Maybe it'll help.
You have a beautiful place.
Thank you. This poster is from a production of Funny You Don't Look Like a Grandmother, which is a musical that I wrote that's really played all over the country. And the pictures of the four women who are grandmothers are Juliette Prowse, Karen Morrow, Nancy Dussault, and Marilyn Cooper. Juliette and Marilyn are no longer with us, but that was a wonderful production. That was the first production of the show in about 1994 in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And since then, it's played all over the country and keeps playing. So that makes me happy.
Now, you mentioned you had the piano. Now, I do have an idea for you after the show, but we can talk about it now if you're interested. How many years have you been a pianist, and do you create your own songs?
I do create my own songs, but most of the time I work as a lyricist. I work sometimes as a composer, and I have, some things that I've written music to, but mostly I work as a lyricist or a librettist and lyricist. So I'm in charge of the words more than the music, although I'm a pretty musical person. Yeah.
Well, if you're interested, I would love to work with you. I've been trying to get an official theme song for my talk show. So if you're interested.
I'll try and think about it. You need a theme song, that's true.
Right now, I've been using, borrowing a couple other songs like from Nickelback and just a couple of wrestling themes, and it's kind of like, yeah, it's nice because it's what I grew up to and I like listening to.
Sure.
But I would like something to be like officially mine, saying this is mine and design. But
right.
It's for every season, it's different.
Got it. My daughter's a composer too. She's a wonderful, wonderful songwriter. She lives out in LA, and she's a recording studio and a whole setup right in her house. So maybe she and her partner could come up with a quick theme for you, or they have a big library of music too that they've created, and you could hear something in their library that you might like that would work for you as a theme.
Hey, if you can hook me up, I'd be thankful.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Now, the next question I was going to ask you, I know we're getting off topic or anything, but that's fine. Every interview is different. So, starting off, what could you tell us? And there's the banging in the background, like I was telling you.
That's okay. It's all right.
So, like I was telling you, what can you tell us about yourself, and how did you start your career?
I actually started my career as a dancer, believe it or not. And I've been working in Chicago in a lot of productions and also in summer stock when I was in college. And so by the time I was ready to come to New York. I had already had an equity card and been working for a while. So I knew quite a few people in the business. If I was starting in the business today, I don't think I would have the same opportunities that I had back then. It's easier to get an equity card than it is now. It was easier to kind of network than it is now. And the casting directors didn't control the business the way they do now. There were only a few casting directors. Now there's many casting directors. And so it was just such a totally different world. We're talking a long time ago, 1967. So that's originally how I started in business, as a performer, as a dancer, and then a singer-dancer. I could always sing. When I was 10 years old, I was in a production of Babes in Toyland with the Chicago Park District. I was a little doll on toe shoes. And I can remember at the very, very end, they had all the toys in Toyland come out and be on stage. And I was singing, "Hail to Toyland," with this lovely big voice, because they said they wanted all the toys to sing. And the conductor almost fell over because he couldn't believe this little 10-year-old kid had this loud voice. But there goes my dog. Oh, this is going to be quite an interview between the banging and my dog. That's how I started out. But now, as the years have gone by, I've also made a shift into, I am president of the board of a small off-Broadway theater company called New York Theater Barn, and our specialty is working and developing new musicals. So in the past years,
it doesn't stop.
I've been running New York Theater Barn. We've developed several new shows. Worked with many, many new writers. So I feel like, I get an opportunity to give back a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you're interested, I would love to work with you. What would be the do you think I qualify, or do you think, what are the qualifications that people would like to work with you?
You mean to work with me on a show, or to work with me just...
Well, overall, a little bit of everything.
Well, writing a show is a very, very specific craft. And normally when I look at my collaborators that I want to work with, they're of kind of equal stature. They've been doing it as long, or they understand it as well, or they come from a similar kind of taste sensibility that I have. And so that's what I look for in a collaborator. I'm investigating a couple of new projects now to see if maybe or not they'll come to fruition. But there's always a question, too, of what the story's going to be and who has the rights to that story, if it's already an existing story, and if it's an original story, who's really writing it or developing it. And so these are things that I look at when I'm picking material to work on.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you need someone to advertise for you, I'd be more than happy to create a promo for you during the show, before the show. Like I said, you help me, I help you. I'm a good person.
Thank you. I got it.
Now, for a perfect example, are you based in the New York area?
Yes, I'm based in the New York area.
And so, what are your favorite shows that you have seen, and that you have written, and that you've seen actually done?
Well, I try to see a lot of new work as well as the existing, canon of musical theater. So I see a lot of revivals, and I go out to the regionals and see their productions. The outstanding shows that I love are the same shows that everybody loves: West Side Story, King and I, South Pacific, the really golden standards of musical theater writing. The current production of King and I at Lincoln Center is magnificent. And then, of course, I was one of the lucky ones. I saw Hamilton early on at the Public Theater, and that's an incredibly innovative, exciting new piece of work. I mean, I read that Ron Chernow book on Hamilton, and it didn't sing to me. So the fact that he was able to take that source material and turn it into this magnificent, heartfelt, strong, dramatic, creative evening is, the sign of his pure genius. So that's one of the most exciting things I've seen. I felt the same way about Chorus Line when I saw that originally at the Public Theater. It was just an incredibly inventive, original piece of work. And many of my friends who I had been in applause with were also connected with a Chorus Line, including one of the writers, Nick Dante, who is no longer with us now either. But Nick was in the chorus with me of applause, and he became one of the original writers of the book of Chorus Line.
No, absolutely. Now, for the next question I was going to ask, but I'm going to pass the show over to you, and you can talk about any subjects you want, any questions you want to ask me. This is your time, after all.
Oh, I'm the interviewer. Well, how did you get started doing this website show?
That's a good question. I keep coming up with different variations of it. Basically, make a long story short, I was using my learning disability as a crutch. It's like, can't do this, can't do that, can't go to college, can't do what you're doing. Well, I can, but it's always got to be scaled back. So, all my people in my family had disabilities at one time or another, but they overcame it. One's a poetry writer, the other one's doing this tour thing, one's a teacher, the other two are doing, whatever they're doing. Sorry, I just had to catch my breath. And so the longest time, and to give you a perfect example, my brother is looking for a job. Go talk to one of your other siblings so they can help you out. And it's like, what about me? Well, you're in a different case. You're a different category. And so I was like, okay, thanks. It's like, well, you're a different case. You're a different category. You're a different situation or some other BS he doesn't want to come up with. So I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to prove to you and everyone else, just because I have a learning disability, that I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life. And I'm going to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there dealing with any types of disabilities. It's true that
That's certainly a very commendable. And, my husband is a neurologist, so I understand a lot about these kinds of disabilities and what his patients have been through, trying to make successes of their lives, overcoming various neurological disorders that they've faced. So certainly I commend you enormously for doing what you're doing, and I think you are a role model. I'm sure you're a role model to many, many young people with disabilities who are coming up.
People want to follow you on social media. Are you on Facebook, Twitter?
I'm on Twitter too, but I don't know how to answer anybody on Twitter because I haven't figured it out yet. But my company's called Vimax Music, so it's at Vimax. But Sheilah Rae, that's me. I'm on Facebook.